Welcome to an anniversary episode of the Radio Horror Review Show with the Blonde in Front of Fear. And tonight, for a little while, we're going to talk about the 40th anniversary of, we'll probably do all the 40th anniversary horror movies this year, because it's three. It's funny enough, they're actually all composed by big directors. The composed is by a famous composer who is going to be coming on Radio Horror later this month, Charles Bernstein, who also did The Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Not part 2, but 2 TOO. But he also did Cujo as well, which also came out this year. But we're going to talk about The Entity, which, there you go. I completely disappear if I hold up the Blu-ray, but now you see the woman, our star right there on the Blu-ray. That's actually kind of creepy and cool, the way the blue screen does that. So she looks like she's staring at the logo too. Do you see that?
Yes.
That's kind of cool. Katie is going to talk a little bit about the film, and then I'll go over some of the great things that are on the Scream Factory Blu-ray. Also, no joke, there is a video game tie-in for the Atari 2600 because Atari didn't give a crap when they were dying in the water after 1982's failure that was E.T. that destroyed the video game industry for a few years. Don't forget, this is the same time that we also got the Halloween video game and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and those are not great. So here we are to talk about The Entity.
All right. The Entity, directed by Sidney J. Furie, based on his novel, and then he wrote the screenplay. It stars Barbara Hershey as Carla Moran, Ron Silver as Phil Snyderman, David Labiosa as Billy, Carla's son, and a legendary actor, Alex Rocco, as Jerry. The film begins with Carla Moran, who is a single mother of three. She has two little girls and a teenage son. She lives in a modest home, I believe, in Texas or Southern California. It's warm. She's living her day-to-day life, and she gets out of the shower and hears something, and then is viciously sexually assaulted. She does not see who is doing it. The assaults, they her arms go up above her head. It's like gyrating of her body. You see that. You don't actually see what's going on, but you know that she's been attacked. She passes out on the floor. She gets up, gets her kids, gets out of the house because she doesn't understand what has happened. Someone asks who did it. She doesn't know. Now, believe me, I may be a little bit wrong regarding these details because this is one of those films that I have only seen once in my life doing the film. And that was a number of decades ago. This is a film that if you watch this continuously, I worry about you. If someone said that this is their favorite movie and they, watch it, once a month, I don't know if we could be friends. Because while I do think the film was very well done, it's the fact that maybe it was almost too well done that it's had this effect on me. Carla goes back to the house and, she's trying to explain to someone what happened. She's talking to a friend of hers. They're telling her the mundane part of her day and all that stuff. And then Carla says, I was raped. And her friend's like, what? And she tries to explain what happened. Alex Rocco is her boyfriend. She thinks that she can go back to her home and that once her boyfriend comes home, it'll be fine. Everything will go away. They have a nice little dinner, they put the kids to sleep so they can have, grown-up time in the bedroom. He's in the bathroom. He's getting ready to go in the bedroom. And when he goes into the bedroom, you see Barbara Hershey sprawled out on the bed. You can see that things are touching her naked body and she's saying help. He looks at her I don't understand what is going on, and then he is knocked out. When one of the attacks happens, her son tries to stop the attack and he is actually thrown against the wall. Now, what I learned from looking at the IMDb is that not only did that happen, because this is based on a book that is based on actually factual accounts. There's a woman that this happened to. She was sexually assaulted. She moved away many, many times. and then it dissipated until it finally like went away. But it's happened like for a number of years. But the when that happened, that account where the son is thrown against a wall, he breaks his arm. When that scene happened in the film, the actor was thrown against the wall and he also broke his arm during that. Now, I don't understand. I mean, this film, the music that Charles Bernstein did is, I mean, it's so just it's frightening. It just makes your heart beat. You know something is going to happen. You know
Well,
something is happening even if you don't see it. And it's just honestly just again just watching the trailer and watching some of it, it's not much that I can watch after that. Ron Silver plays Phil Schneiderman, who is like an astrophysicist sort of scientist who's trying to help Carla because he believes her, which being a victim of sexual assault, one of the difficult parts of that is people believing you, because I mean, you know, because for some reason people always want to think, oh, it's let's let people do this for attention, which you if that's the case, then you know men don't say they've been sexually assaulted that much for attention, so why do you think that women would be doing that? But that's a whole other thing. But the fact that this is happening to her relentlessly with her children, like she has two small little girls and then her son who can't protect her even though he wants to. In this house that they live in, they start living in their car because she doesn't want to go back. Ron Silver, Phil Schneiderman believes her. He sets up this like mock sort of thing in this building that he owns, that it's like a mock replica of her house. Like every single room is identical to hers, to like get the entity to come to her and this house so they can catch it. And then they do, and then it kind of breaks free. And again, this is me with my memory. It's been decades since I've seen this. I'm not going to rewatch it to do this review. But when Carla and her family finally leave the house, she hears this what is it, like kind of whisper or like something that says bitch or something, or like cunt at the end while they're leaving. And then it says that, you know, while the entity did follow her, it wasn't ever as strong as that first occurrence happened. Because not only is this entity, she describes how she can feel like what this thing is, like the weight and the stench, and like how it's like, you know, a very heavy person. But then there's also two little goblin like things that are also around it that are like holding down her wrists. And you see the way the art department did this with her, you see like the bruises on her wrist when she's discussing this to doctors and to the scientists. It's, to me, this is a film that, I mean, when you talk about ghosts and all this stuff, I know that it apparently was a bomb. Now, it's kind of a mystery because, I mean, it says it was possibly done, came out in 1982, but like the date of it is 1983. But one of the reasons why a number of people think it was a bomb is because you had a film that came out like 6 to 7 months before that in 1982. What was that film? Poltergeist. They also kind of compare the assault that Jo Beth Williams had in Poltergeist to this, which, okay, that I don't really think there's much comparison, because Jo Beth Williams was on the bed in the I think Joe Namath jersey or some football jersey. It tried to like pull her thing up, she pulled it down, and then it took her around. This is a whole other level of sexual assault. I mean, it is, yeah, this is a whole other beast. Like it's, I mean, I admit I saw this way too young. I do not recommend anyone seeing this unless they are very, very mature, because honestly, one of the other things about it is that it was I read that it was nicknamed like the entity because there are scenes where they have like prosthetic breasts, I believe, that They put indentations, like you see a physical, you see a boob, but then you see fingers like going into the boob, but you don't see the fingers. People apparently thought that was funny. I don't know. It's the early 80s. I don't get it. I mean, the fact that Atari made a damn video game of this regarding a woman who is just continuously sexual assaulted is really wow. Wow, 80s. What were we thinking? But yeah, I'm sure it's out there. I know Chris is going to talk about the 4K or whatever is that's out now and all the special features. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some behind the scene things. I know that Barbara Hershey possibly thought that she was going to lose her career. I actually spoke to her at Texas Frightmare a few years ago regarding this film, and she said that this was the only film she's ever done where it was filmed in chronological order. So I find that very interesting, but also I kind of understand why. Because I mean, I would think that there's only so much her psyche could handle. I didn't want to talk to her too much about it because, again, this is a film that's not for the faint of heart. I know, looking it up, I believe someone like did a remake of it in 2015. I don't think this is a film that needs remake. Honestly, this was done right. This was done fine. It's not something that needs to be redone. And I mean, watch it kind of like you would watch
They didn't do
what
the
is it?
remake.
Oh, did they not? Good.
No,
I'm
but
glad they
what's
did.
weird, what is very weird and coincidence, I guess, is that the remake was going to be done by her Insidious director.
Oh, really?
Yeah, James Wan.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet he was talked out of that because I don't see that
Yeah, I
being
mean
a
it's been
good.
8 years and he's moved on to whatever his current project, is Conjuring Universe stuff and finishing out Insidious this year. So,
Yeah.
which she will be back for. She'll be back for the next Insidious because she's
Yeah,
the mother
good.
of Patrick Wilson's character.
Yes. So I'm glad that they're not redoing that. But yeah, here's the thing. Where is it? The
Yeah,
entity.
you were right. It was Stan Winston who did the suction cups of a prosthetic dummy underneath that basically just like sucked in her breasts to make it look like fingers pushing down on them and such. And she talks about in the Blu-ray, or her head is up, just it's just her head in the bed, kind of like that whole fake body, but the head's animated so that they don't have to do an animated head. So your body's underneath and you're crouched, you're sitting on a pillow while they're chopping up your or doing whatever it is they're doing to the fake dummy filled with blood or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, she's on this Blu-ray talking a lot about the film with David Labiso.
Laviosa.
Yes. And composer Charles Bernstein is on here as well. And Charles, I talked to him about the entity because it is the 40th anniversary of that and Cujo. And he, specifically was asked by the director, and our interview again will play late this month, about that sound that is made when the entity is coming and after her and doing what it's doing. It's that chung 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 sound or whatever. It sounds like someone banging on a radiator. And he specifically wanted like the incredibly uncomfortable noise that was going to be made while that scene was happening.
Well, he achieved it. So good job. Because believe me, that is something that still haunts my nightmares.
I mean, he does the same thing in Cujo, which we will probably get to later this year. And yes, there's a remake of Cujo coming. About like when Cujo jumps on the car, there's a noise that's made by him. And it's the same with Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger has this like weird sound when he's chasing after not Nancy, but her friend from the beginning of the movie.
Tina.
There's that sound made or whatever that's just really uncomfortable. And it's also later on when Nancy is being chased by Freddy, there's that sound. I'm doing the worst interpretation of it, but anyway. Yeah, so there's a game by Atari. There it is. And it is supposedly based on the movie, but it's just called Entity and not The Entity. But a lot of people may say that it is because it is set in a bedroom and there is the ghost, the entity. I don't want to get into much description of the game. You can just imagine what the game is. I mean, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween game, you are those are along the same lines as just the absolute just terrible things that came out. One thing I do recommend with this film is if you do have to watch it, let's say you're in film class or you are just curious and want to see it, which is fine. Because I didn't know anything about this movie until I heard about the game, and then I heard there was the movie on Blu-ray, and I was like, okay, I'll get the Blu-ray from Scream Factory. There's an audio commentary by Daniel Kramer, and the author, he's the author of Sidney J. Fury's Life in Films, filmography, who is still alive today, by the way. He's 89 years old, which is he made one of my favorite Top Gun kind of rip-off movies. It's not showing up in the blue screen very well. There it is. Iron Eagle. Made all the Iron Eagle movies, by the way. There are more Iron Eagle movies than there are Top Gun films.
Yeah, there's a lot of Iron Eagle movies.
So the
They're
guy
cheap
has
to
had a
make.
prolific career too. He's directed stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things he's done. One of the reviews of this film said this is almost a combination of like a David Cronenberg Exorcist film, and I'm like, yeah, Videodrome came out around the same time, not the same year, but yeah, I totally see that. But I can rewatch a Videodrome. I can't rewatch this.
Yeah. Yeah, I can
Videodrome is
rewatch.
fascinating. I will rewatch Videodrome anytime with somebody to be like, let's dissect Videodrome and the weird stuff in that movie. But I can't rewatch this. This is like
Yeah.
this right up there with I Spit on Your Grave and the Human Centipede films, which are just awful as well because of the body horror. But there's a lot of sexual assault in those films too. But they're just disgusting to watch. This is just uncomfortable to watch. The Poltergeist comparison, that was a new one I had not ever heard about. There's also a great interview on this Blu-ray with Barry Taff. He has done multiple he's a psychologist who's done multiple interviews about things like the entity or alien abduction, usually involving something involving people's bodies. So he's been consulted about a lot of those different things. If you're really curious about the film, Scream Factory has a copy, but I think it's streaming for free too. So if you don't feel like you want to waste your money watching something like this, it is available on several different streaming services. So if you are just a collector of ghost films, I mean, that's something else as well. It took a long time for me to realize this was the mother from Insidious too. So because I was not always following Barbara's career. So when I saw this, I was like,
I mean,
oh, that's where she came from.
She did this film, or this film came out right after The Natural. So you've got The Natural where she plays the woman in black, and then to have this film come out, and it's like, ugh. And then she did Beaches, and then I don't know if she took a little break after this or not, but I mean, she's an amazing actress. Like, she's done many films. And I'm glad, because I feel like, unlike now, if this film on its original screening had come out now, I think she probably would have a career like Elizabeth Berkley, the way this movie was received in 1983. I don't think that's justified. I think she did an amazing performance. And I mean, what this character had to go through is just, again, a nightmare hell that has only allowed my psyche to watch it once. Sorry, it's shaking. My iPad wasn't.
No, that's fine. But the artwork, by the way, I have to point out, is done by Joel Robinson. For anyone who is a collector of these Scream Factory films or picked up any issue of Horror Hound or been to any horror convention, I think he's gone to all of them. You've met Joel Robinson. He is a prolific painter in the horror industry. And he captures the horror of this the best way he possibly said he could. It's more of her facial reactions than anything else. But yeah, Joel Robinson, amazing painter for this film.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Barbara Hershey, if you're a fan of Alex Rocco, and you want something like that in your collection, watch it. Like Chris said, I Spit on Your Grave. It's very Gaspar Noé. It's very Serbian film. Kind of like, I put it up there with, Human Centipede, films like that it's like, this is controversial, and out there, and it takes it to the limit of what our humans should be, what they can see. Definitely NC-17 if they had it then. I don't know, but I mean, Poltergeist was PG. It wasn't even PG-13 at that time. So yeah, if you're into that, great. Again, if you're someone who says they watch this every year and it's your favorite film, I don't think we could be friends, but I mean, that's just everyone's interpretation. That's just you. Good for you. I hope you have a solid and peaceful life. But yeah, 40 years, 40 screams. Scream Day was what, last week? I believe it was last week, and it was also Barbara Hershey's birthday. So look at that.
Awesome. Oh, okay. So by the way, you don't play as the entity in this game. I was wrong. I thought you did. The entity must quickly be moved to higher planes of existence to avoid its chilling demise. It will resist, but this must not stop you. Can you hold out long enough to replenish your helium supplies? Locate a portal in the barrier separating planes of existence, then use your joystick to channel the entity through the portal and on the next phase. When the entity resists, subdue it with a spray of liquid helium. It is tied to the movie.
Okay, so that's what I was talking about at the end, when it's the replica of the house and they have it and they're trying to catch it. That's what, again, though, still, there really must have been stretching to trying to make that into a video game,
It
because
looks like a Pac-Man clone. I'm not even kidding. There's like bars like this, and then there's like the entity is moving along, and you control the bars as you're trying to move the entity up, and you're literally doing this apparently for like 26 levels. And don't forget, this is the age where you were if the Empire Strikes Back game, you were Luke Skywalker in the snow speeder, and you're shooting down AT after AT, one after the other, level after level after level after level.
yeah, I don't know who the marketing genius was to say, hey, let's make a movie about the entity. I mean, if you're going to do that, did they make a movie? Did they, or not make a movie, make a video game for the entity? Did they make a video game from Poltergeist? Because at least that one, you can try and figure out where the ghosts are in the house, or it's like, are they in the backyard? Are they in the bedroom? Where's Carol Ann? This one, that was really stretching. I don't know if they had a deal with the studio. That would be maybe something when you're having your interview with Charles Bernstein, like if there that comes up, like that doesn't even make any sense to me why this would be, because that doesn't even sound like that fun of a game, but whatever.
Well, according to
Joystick.
the website, see, I'm getting some the information's all over the place. This game apparently is a prototype, and this was a catalog made game years later, of like, because making Atari games is very cheap if you know what you're doing. So this is not actually this was a prototype that they released years later to be made into a like exclusive catalog ordering game. So it was like one of those games Atari maybe didn't make, but they had the blueprints for, and then years later someone got them and made the game.
Hmm.
That happens a lot. There's games that have hit prototype development but don't get mass produced. So the entity just might happen to have been one of the things. But hey, again, at least you're not playing the entity doing things to somebody in the game. Unlike something like Custard's Revenge, which you look that up, that's as controversial as you can possibly imagine. Check out the rest of the reviews here at the Radio Hardy YouTube channel. We will be covering some other 40th anniversary, and we'll see what else came out in some other anniversaries throughout the year. This is the first retro one we're doing for the year. Again, look up the entity if you're curious, but it's not for the faint of heart. I don't really have any reason to ever want to rewatch it unless someone says to me, "What's the entity?" And I will be like, "Okay, forewarned, this is what's in it, but if you still want to watch it after my explanation, sure, go ahead." I don't see this being played in theaters this year. If it is, I will be shocked.
I mean, that's one way to watch it, as a captive audience. So
Oh God, yeah, I could. Yeah, I
yeah,
should know. I'm sorry, I can't imagine who does own
actually,
this movie.
I would see it in a theater only because I'd have to be a captive audience. Because if I have the option to watch this at home, I'm gonna pause it. I probably won't come back, honestly.
Right. Oh, it's 20th Century
Again,
Fox. Disney is not releasing this, so it's Disney owned.
oh,
Yeah, not under their 20th Century banner are they ever going to release. Absolutely not.
no,
Disney, no.
no,
No, you won't see this by the Walt Disney Corporation or its adult film studio, 20th Century Films.
no.
No.
I'm
Hellraiser,
sure.
that's the closest we'll get to a any kind of weird sexually driven film.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks,
sure
everyone.
that Mouse House is not going to have anything to do with this, but check out the rest of our reviews, like, subscribe, and comment. And you can find Blonde in Front on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as my website, The Blonde in Front.
Like, subscribe, and comment to this video and any of the others here on the YouTube channel and on Radio of Horror. If you have any questions about The Entity or any other retro films, send them to thatradiohorror@gmail.com.